got your mug fine, mate. I text Aaron and tell me to tell you I got it. So I got it
Okay.
fine.
They're taking away while we're going live. How do we do in afternoon, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Sunday Live with Twisted One and guests. Big George is in the house. My sidekick from the other side of the pond, Ty, is back in the building. How are we doing? So we'll start with Ty, because Ty's been away for a while. What's new, Ty, on home front with the ponds to start with?
I've got the ponds up, or I got my main pond up and running now. It's finally warming up a bit more. I've started feeding a little bit. Things are going good. This last week has been chilly and sucked, but it's this next week it's supposed to be getting back up into the 60s. So back up to like 15 degrees. I'm getting better at knowing the conversion. Been hanging out with you guys long enough now.
And the greenhouse pond?
Greenhouse pond, it's still rocking. That's doing fine. I'm excited to get the plants back out and move them into the main pond again. And then I'm going to be setting up a quarantine. I had that big, I forget what it's called. You're setting one up for your new grow out. What are those tanks called?
IBC tank?
IBC, yeah. I've had one of those sitting in my backyard forever. I've taken it to my work because we've got some space in our warehouse. And I'm going to be setting up a quarantine there for some new fish I'm going to have coming in soon. And then this past weekend, I was at the All-American Koi Show.
That's what I was going to get into next.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. It's fun when you're in this hobby and you get to go spend time around other people who geek out about koi fish as much, if not more, than you do. You know, it's. I think it's a pretty special thing getting to go to koi shows for that reason. But then the All-American show, I mean, it was a big show, and there's some really big competition that was showing up there. I mean, it was an international show. There were people from other countries bringing fish over. It was nuts.
Really?
Yeah. I know that there was a fish from the Philippines that came, quite a few fish from Japan.
Yeah.
There might have been some other people. But then there are people from all over the world that were there. So
Yeah.
that was cool.
So was that the first koi show you've been to, or is that just the first time you've been to the All-American?
The second time I've been to the All-American. I went there last year when they had the first one. And this is the second time I've ever been to a koi show. So I think I have a skewed perspective on koi shows because I've only ever been to the All-American one.
Was there much improvement from last year to this year's show?
I think so. Yes, I think it was. Well, one, it wasn't so damn windy, which was good. Last year, they were just like trying to keep the vendors' tents and stuff from blowing away.
But in terms of the actual way that the show itself was presented, was there an evolution there?
I think so. Much more organized. I got to give it up to the guys who put this show together because I guess it's like all koi shows, right? It's all volunteer work. It's all people putting in their time, their money out of their own pockets and stuff to make it happen. But yeah, this year versus last year. I know last year when they decided they were going to do it, they had like 3 months to plan and organize and get it all put together.
Right.
And that might be why there was a little bit of talk about last year's show not feeling like it was quite all put together. This year, I thought they did a phenomenal job. I thought they did a pretty good job last year too, but leaps and bounds. I thought this show was incredible. can only imagine that it's going to keep getting better each year as they keep going.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. So what was your highlight of the All American Koi Show?
I think my highlight was getting to meet some people, um, getting to connect with some more people in the hobby. Um, I love you guys. All my friends I've made over in the UK or Chris up in Canada. But I don't know quite as many people. There's no koi dealers in Utah. I feel like I'm a little bit more isolated. I have a lot of good friends, like in my local pond club, but
Yeah,
it was really cool getting to meet some people at this show. Met some really fun koi dealers that I've become friends with. Hobbyist who so my next video is coming out right after this live stream.
yeah.
So if you get a chance to go watch it, I kind of made the video more focused in on one hobbyist that I met. His name's Woody,
Yeah.
and the fish that he brought to the show and him competing at the show. Because at this show, I mean, there's a koi that was there that was valued at like $600,000. You know, the big players that are coming to compete, that they're not messing around the kind of fish that they're bringing. There were
Yeah.
three koi that were like the big contenders for grand champion, and those three koi were just. But not everybody can compete with those fish or people at go Sankey at that kind of
Yeah.
level. And so I actually in that video I didn't really focus on that part of the show as much as I did this one guy I met and the fish that he brought. He brought a Showa that he bought for $50 as a Tosai, and I thought it was actually a pretty dang good Showa. The way that he
Hmm.
grew and developed that, I mean, just a very dedicated hobbyist who's making it work well with what he has, And I was just blown away that it was a Nisai because that thing was massive.
So what size was it? Do you know?
I'm trying to remember. I think it was around 40 something cm, maybe 50 cm. I can't remember. It'll show it in the video. But no, it was the body on it, everything. I was just like, wow. I
Yeah.
can't believe you got this thing for $50 out of like the cheap out of like the cheap, but the more economical koi selection when you were getting your first koi fish.
With Go Sankey, yes, very very lucky because 9 times out of 10, especially over here, if you was to buy say a 40-pound kahaku and grow it and then try putting it against one of the what I call the big boys in the koi scene next to one of their kahakus, you will instantly see a difference. And there is no
Mm-hmm.
two ways about it. It is what it is. Which is why I mean I've had a couple of people since last year said to me, well, what advice can you give to someone who's wanting to do it themselves? First, don't go in there with any expectations that you're going to win.
Yeah.
Go at it with the attitude is these are the ones I think are my best fish, and enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Go into it with absolutely no expectations. But on the flip side, if it's your very first show, don't go in with the Gosanki because, like I say, at that level, you're never going to compete unless you've got serious systems and serious money.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Yep.
you want for your first time, you want to be looking at the smaller sizes, 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
For one reason, you've got a better range of what you can actually put into the vat. You know, if you've got 80 centimeter koi, that's it. You know, that's your points allocated. So if you've got your first time showing and you've got a nice range, a mix of fish in your vat, to me that makes more sense. And it was part of what Rick installed into me last year, was that don't concentrate on the big fish, because I'm never going to compete. I mean, I know I took Big Betty last year, but for me, taking Betty last year was for my subscribers that have said countless times on the videos, she don't look that big. But when you actually see her in the flesh, she is bloody big, and I would say she's at least 75 cm now.
I mean, your videos don't do her any justice whatsoever until we were at the show and we seen her. It was like, wow, she was just big girl.
And like I say, I took the Ginrin Becco because, you know, you don't see very many big Ginrin Beccos, and it will be going back with me this year. We were talking about, me and Mum and Susan were talking about it yesterday, and we were chatting about this year's show. I will definitely be taking 5 out of the 6 that took rosettes last year. And the only reason I'm not taking the 6th one is because when it took second in size and class last year, it was a Kikasui. But within 2 weeks of coming back from the national, it then started busting out in Sumi. And it's now a Deutsche Yam Tanishki. I can't take it this year because the Sumi is just not up enough. So that is the only reason that one won't be taken. So it'll be the big Ginrin Becco, Champ's got to go irrespective, and then I'll decide on the day, and that being the Friday that I bag them up, which ones will go depending on how they look when I net and bowl them on the Friday. I've got a few I'm hoping to take, but like I say, it all depends on how they look or how they.
See, all the vats all sold out pretty quickly yesterday. All the vats were gone.
Didn't they just? And I've got to say, I was fucking lucky. I got mine at about 3 minutes past midnight. I must have been sat there from about 5 to midnight on the shop page, because it didn't appear until 1 minute past midnight, and I'm sat there, keep refreshing the page. I was like, I'm definitely getting it. So, all right, mate. So yeah, I was over the moon, but not just me. Anthony Farmore Coy, he got his. I'm not sure who got their vat first, me or Tony, but it was I think it was a toss up on that one. But within 20 minutes, 10 of the big vats had gone straight away. Small vats had gone. I mean, when I went to bed, there was 20 large vats and 80 small vats. And then when I left at 9 o'clock Saturday morning, there was 8 large vats, and I think it was 2 or 3 small vats left. So yeah, they went pretty darn quick this year. Because mine actually, I booked my vat. It was about a week after they became available last year, and I think it was by Saturday lunchtime, all the vats had gone and people were being put on the reserve list.
But that's only a good thing, but it seemed to be more popular this year than it was last year.
Definitely. I mean, just from my drone show with a different group, there's myself, Rocket Boy, Tony Farmore Coy. I know Seska's Reef and Pond. She's got a VAT this year, so that's
a wee side competition going on
there. Yeah, so there's 4 YouTubers there that I know of, and it will be good to see who else has managed to get a VAT, to see what sort of, what's the word I'm looking at, degrees of fish, put it that way, because everyone's eye is different, and a lot of us that are doing the show are not actually show people, if that makes any sense. But yeah, it's going to be another absolutely fucking awesome weekend, and I'm really looking forward to it. That's for sure.
How far out is it?
How far out? The national
3 months.
is the 28th and 29th of June.
Mm.
A couple of months. 2 months. 2.5 months.
Yeah.
8 weeks.
So 8 weeks. Well, 7 weeks to try and get some food and some colour food and that into them, because you have to starve them for a week before they go. Scotty P, how many VATs are there in total this year? I'm attending for the first time, both days too. Sweet. I think there is 30 large VATs. I think there's somewhere around 10 of the next size down. So you've got 2.8 or 2.5. So if you've got 2.5 VAT, you can only have a maximum of 14 fish. I can't remember how many points it is. And then on the 2.8 VAT, you can have a maximum of 17 fish, and you've got a slightly higher points level that you can then go to. But you have to, and then this is what I say about
the points level. Does that the size of your fish add up to a total, or okay?
Yeah.
So I without looking, I couldn't tell you, but size 1, which is 15 to 25 cm, is usually 1 point, and then your size 2, which is 25 to 35, is 1.5 points, and then it goes up like that. So for me, last year, taking Betty took, I think it was 9 points straight off of my VAT, purely because of her size. And this was one of the things that Rick was trying to instill into me, was if I then take the couple of big ones and then a lot of the smaller ones, one, you've got more colour and variety in the VAT, and also you've got more options and more chances then, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
Let the big boys fight out for the ones that
Best
you know.
Yep.
Yeah, let the big boys fight out for the ones that you know you've got nowhere, you're not coming close to, and you just concentrate on the stuff that you enjoy as a koi keeper. And for me, I enjoy smaller fish and watching them grow and developing and knowing that I got them to that point.
Yeah.
Would you do it, Ty? Would you do the All American Koi Show?
Maybe one day.
There was a long pause there.
I think the challenge for me with doing the All American is the time of year that it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Because it happens in March, we're still in winter here. Down in Las Vegas, I mean, I got sunburnt when I was down there. It's a lot hotter. It's like a 5.5 hour drive. So taking my fish out of 40-degree water and taking them somewhere where the water's probably going to be 60 degrees.
Spoon. They'll go into there and start spooning.
Yeah. I don't know. I just gotta wrap my head around it. It's stressful for me thinking about the stress I put on my fish transporting them.
Yeah, that's understandable.
But I'd love to do that one day. One day.
If you truly are addicted to the hobby, I would recommend you try it at least once.
Yeah, I might go to the Rocky Mountain Koi Show first.
So have you got a body out there? Like we've got the BKKS, British Koi Keepers Society, and it's them that oversees the National Koi Show. So do you have a body of people like that over in America? Or
yes,
is it just...
we have the AKCA, the American Koi Club Association. I think I'm getting that all right. But I believe that's where a lot of the koi shows are organized around. I don't know exactly with the All-American how that's all put together.
Because that was going to be my next question. And are you a member of it? And do you actually get much interaction from them?
Well, I know our local koi or pond club was affiliated for a long time. I think COVID it almost killed the koi show scene in the U.S. There's a lot of shows that went away that some of them didn't come back.
Yeah. And do you think that is because there's now... I know America likes doing video shows, don't they? Where you post in photos and videos, and the show is actually done digitally online. Do you have you noticed a lot of that over there?
No, I think all the shows are still done in person. I just and I'm speaking somewhat uneducatedly about some of this. Just impressions or things that I've heard, but it's interesting because the U.S. is so wide and vast. Like the All-American show is 5.5 hour drive for me, right? Southern California, I believe there's at least like 4 different shows that happen down there. There's probably more than that. Because the LA area, that part of the country, is just much more densely populated. I think the LA area has a population of like 10 million people or something. Might be more than that. Anyways, it's that's where there's a lot of more like koi dealers and things is down there.
Yeah,
I know of at least like 3 or 4 dealers down in that area. And then where I live, there's the Rocky Mountain Koi Show, which was held up in Boise, Idaho last year.
Yeah.
And that is like a 4.5 hour drive for me. I believe, or was it held in Denver? I can't remember. Denver's like a 7-hour drive.
Jesus.
Southern California is like an 8.5 hour, 9-hour drive.
Yeah, well, Carl, the autistic koi keeper, has just put in here. I imagine it would be hard to show in the US due to the sheer distances involved.
Yeah. That's what's crazy about the All-American show, because I was meeting people who'd brought their fish all the way from like New York, flown their fish in.
Was it Fitz's Fish Pond channel? They flew in a private jet, or the koi. was like, wow, that was just madness.
Yeah, they did that again this year.
Mm-hmm.
Met people from like down in Florida. Met a couple from my own state, but at the southern end of the state, where it's only like an hour and a half drive to Vegas. And then let's see, met people from like Washington State, Southern California, like right there. That's like the four corners of the country, and there are people from all over.
Yeah. Now, last year when you went to the All American Koi Show, you were just pretty much starting out on your YouTube journey, wasn't you? So, how did you find it this year at the All American Koi Show when people would come up to you and go, "I love what you do. Your videos are great."
It was cool. It was fun to meet people. That didn't happen a lot. You know, it was maybe like 4 or 5 people who said something, but it was cool.
Oh, we've got a visitor that we haven't had in a while.
Well, what's happening,
Hey,
Shadow?
lads. How we doing? You fishing? No, he's gone.
But
So,
I've harped on enough about the All American show. George, what's been going on with your pond down up your way?
Nothing much, mate. I just got a new koi yesterday from my dad. Oh, it was one of his grow-ons after my mum had picked what she'd wanted. It was the last Asagi left, so I got that in the pond. It was 42 centimetres. It grew on from Tosai last year.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's got a nice
just
presence in the pond. So.
Crafty's put up here for you, Ty. Central California Koi Society. You've got Midwest Pond and Koi Society. And there are also the standard of judges, which is the American Koi Judges Association over there.
Yeah, I knew of those two koi society. I know the Midwest Pond and Koi Society. That's one of the big ones out in the Midwest. I know in Colorado they have a pretty big koi scene, and I think we have a pretty decent club here in Utah, but not as big as all that out there.
Because Utah is a big place, isn't it? So
maybe square footage wise, but I'm trying to think. What's the population of Utah? Like maybe 3 million people?
It's just mental how everything over there is just so much bigger.
Yeah.
Afternoon, Anthony. How are we doing?
I'm good, except for the sun's in my eyes and I'm trying to reorganise this camera. Yeah, good. How are you all? How are you, George? How are you, Ty?
Fine, mate. You?
Yeah, doing well. Good to see you.
Oh, that's a little bit better.
Up to much in the back garden today, Tone?
No, I was yesterday. I had to go to my daughter's, and she said, "Can I put all this stuff in your car for the tip?" So all the crap went in my car, and I had to go off and get rid of it at the recycling centre this morning.
Oh, lovely.
And Sundays, there's always a big queue. But anyway, that's done. Just cleaned the back of the car out, and now I thought I'd sit by the pond for a little while, and I saw you'd gone live, so I thought, well, I might as well
Hop on the hello.
until my wife discovers I'm not doing anything, then I'll get told off.
So you're not in the doghouse then for the latest batch of purchases?
No, that's not too bad. They only cost sort of 20 quid each.
That's all right, Tony.
So were they from the exclusively koi auctions, were they?
Yeah, 2 of them, all 3 of them was from the exclusively koi
Yeah,
auctions.
I take it all three were only 20 quid.
Well, you know what you got to tell them, why. No, no, they were actually the two small ones wasn't too bad. I think they was 55 quid or something, but the 50 centimeter shower was a little bit more. But to be honest, I thought it was quite a bargain, really. You
Yeah.
want to tell you how much, aren't you?
No, go on, tell us
It,
all.
a minute, where is she?
It's taking the back.
It was 200 quid the 50 cm Shiro. Not Shiro. Shower.
Shower.
Mm, yeah, which the 50 cm shower that's cheap, isn't it? I can't
Yeah.
remember the breeder, but I do know it. But, yeah.
Mind you, saying that, I know if I'd had £250 spare yesterday, I would have walked home with a Tancho Goshki.
I bet you would. From the koi hut.
Yeah, down at the koi hut. I mean, there was four
Yeah.
there that it would quite comfortably have bought if I'd have had the money. And I know for a fact if Mum's pond was bigger, she would definitely have walked away with one of them because she kept going back to this one pond and she's like, I do like that. I do like
Yeah.
that. I was like, well, if you'd have done what I said and got rid of the two ponds and put a big one in the garden with a window, I said you could have bought that. It's like, well, it's too late now, isn't it? So,
Did she
yeah,
go home with anything?
I had an
Did your mum go
invite
home?
to a koi hut, but I couldn't go because yeah, it wasn't yesterday I had the rubbish, but it was Friday I had the rubbish put in the car. Yesterday I had to go to Kent to my sister-in-law's. Mm,
lovely.
yeah, not in my car,
Did,
luckily. It was still a crap.
Vince, did your mum go home with anything, more importantly?
No, she didn't. No,
Oh.
she didn't. She enjoyed the day out or the drive out, but no, like I say, I came home with the two car gates, and like I say, I fell in love with the Cargate Shiro straight away because one just needs a bit of food and it'll be banging. The Hiitsuri one at the moment it looks like an Akamatsuba with a couple of black stripes on it, but I want to see how it develops because knowing that it's come from Otsuka, it's bound to have come from an Asagi spawning. You know, so. But like I was saying to Ty earlier, when you look at my logo, it's an Asagi and a Shiro. But if you look very carefully at the Shiro, it's actually a Kage Shiro Atsuri. So for me, seeing a Kage Shiro Atsuri that looked nice at that price, just couldn't say no. Couldn't say no. And like I say, the Hiitsuri was literally, I want to watch it and see how it develops. You never know; it might turn out to be a really nice fish. The other side, it might look like an absolute fucking muck, but for 40 quid, it was worth the punt. You know.
Mm. Mm. That's really my
No
sort of
worries,
price.
Rob. There's no timetable here, bud. Afternoon, Lebo. 2 seconds. Angel Mole says, as a newbie to the hobby, how long does it take to grow eyes in the back of your head to see the wife before you mention money? Asking for a friend.
Instantly.
It takes a little while, mate. You get this sixth sense. It's like she's over there.
I know. My wife can pop up from anywhere.
I was seen that last time. You
Yeah,
were on.
yeah, definitely. How we doing, Lebo? What's that you printed? Hang
Can I hear
on.
you, Label?
There you go.
Hang on. Come on. There we go. Put that on there. What are you trying to show us?
There you go.
Exactly, Simon. You get the wife to pick the fish, and you can't complain how much it costs.
Yeah, that looks good, mate.
There you go.
My wife wouldn't pick any fish though because she doesn't like them. There you go.
Mate, you. How many systems have you got now? You must be trying to compete with me. You must have at least 4 on the go now.
Who, me? I got 4. Yeah, but
You got
one of
4
them isn't.
systems,
One of them isn't actually on the go at the moment. It's empty.
and yet she does. You're telling me she doesn't pay attention to them at all?
Not really. No. 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 She only wanted a goldfish pond when I first started 30 odd years ago. Yeah. That's all I wanted was a goldfish pond.
Look at you now, huh? And as Aaron says, I only buy £20 koi to keep the wife happy.
Yeah.
The other one is,
Yeah.
they gave it to me. It was buy one, get one free.
Well, that costs another 20 quid.
Yeah.
Nice one, Lebo.
That's it.
I've got to get some growth on some of these for a pending event.
Yeah, you got your VAT booked, haven't you, Tone?
I have. Rocket Boy didn't do his until he done it at about 6 o'clock in the morning, didn't he? But
Yep.
there's quite a few people complaining that they thought it was from midnight of that day instead of the day before. But they misread it all, didn't they? They're
Well,
moaning.
they must have misconstrued what was said because I've gone back through my emails and stuff, and everything I've seen.
I understood it completely.
Yeah, that's why I was sat here. Like I said earlier, I was sat here from about 10 to 5 to midnight, keep refreshing the shop page, and literally I refreshed it, popped up, and was like.
And to be honest, if I was, being that keen, I would have done it on both nights just in case.
Well, yeah, there is that. There is that. That's why I say maybe this year the national show is going to be shaken up a bit, because I know there's not only YouTubers that are going to be showing for the first time, but there is actually subscribers out there that are going to be showing for the first time. In fact, I know that there's subscribers out there. I don't know if they're subscribers, but I know that there is people out there that have bought fish from Japan, Deutsch fish from Japan, specifically to try and stop me from winning best Deutsch this year.
But I wonder, because there's quite a few us newbies going at it. I wonder how many regulars that's pushed out. I do feel guilty about that.
I mean, I've chatted with Matt from Howie Koi, and I've chatted with Mum, I've chatted with Susan, and yeah, I could see both sides of the coin, because I know there's a few out there that felt, well, I won a major last year, so I should have first dibs, so to speak. But then, how is that fair?
Wow, it won't get new people in if you just bring in the old ones all the time, will it?
No, and that's what I say. But in comparison to last year, I actually booked my VAT a week after they were made available. So the fact that they sold out in less than 24 hours can only be a good thing for the hobby in the UK.
Yeah, and maybe that will encourage the BKKS to actually have more VATs next year.
Well, there is that, and if we can, because as content creators ourselves, as people that are going to be showing, if we cannot drum up more enthusiasm, the more footfall we get through the national, the better it's going to be next year. The more people. more
way
people we can get to actually become members of the BKKS. You know, it's £20 for a year. You get discount going into the show. You get discount on the VATs if you're a member. You know, and it's all little things like that. The more we can promote that, the more chances that the BKKS themselves are then able to expand it and open it up to.
If you're an exhibitor, if you're showing, do you still have to pay to go on your show each day?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
do you think, Vince, it's more folk have got the VATs quicker this year? Is the fact like you, Lee, Gaz, Crafty, Ryan keep on talking about it as much and getting it more publicity? Do you think that's what's made them sell it quicker, maybe?
Possibly. I mean, I showed for the first time last year, and I never thought I was going to do a thing. I had all expectations of coming home with nothing, and
Yeah. Well, that's
to
the expectation going in as well. There's no
and that
good
was
expecting things, is there?
and to be able to take home a major prize and actually with a fish that cost me 40-50 quid, I think has opened the door, so to speak, for other people that my walk of life, you know, we live day
I,
to day on what we've got, how we've got it, you know, and that's what we make do, you know,
I
and I
got a
think,
couple of nice Deutsch coming along, Vince.
yeah, I know, but that's all the fun of its own, you know,
Yeah,
and that's what we need to do. We need to make it fun again,
yeah.
you know. I mean, last year after the national, the amount of flack that I got because I was embarrassing because I emotionally showed how I felt when I got given that trophy and how I felt before it and how I felt after it. I
That,
didn't
that,
hide that from anyone.
that wasn't embarrassing. That wasn't
No.
embarrassing. That was good. That was good to
That was
You
just
know,
celebrate.
that was just pure emotion coming out in the build up
Yeah,
right up to
yeah.
that. That
I tell
there's
you
nothing
what,
embarrassing about that.
I don't think they've heard a cheer go up like they did for you in the past. Anybody?
If the folk thought that was embarrassing, they folk shouldn't even be at the show if they thought that was embarrassing.
it's
See what I
That's
just,
mean?
just
yeah.
She sneaked up on me there.
nah.
Out there,
Oh, hang
people
on.
showing do not need to pay entry. So crafted for
Craft is
people
saying,
exhibited do not need to pay entry fees. So if you're showing, you don't pay entry fees.
oh, there you go. We've been corrected. Cheers, Crafty.
What's that?
So if you
If you're
show
exhibiting, you don't have to pay entrance fee.
Oh, don't you? Oh, right.
yeah,
No.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't mind because it's all going into the BKKS pot, isn't it? But I just wondered, that was all. Hmm.
Nice, no? And like Andrew said here, uh, Tony, first come, first serve is fair to everyone. New showers like you and Dave deserve a chance like everyone else,
that's correct.
which is an absolute fair point. And
Yeah.
then
Well,
you've
I
got,
don't expect to do particularly well. I've got no expectations, but I'm 70 now. I've been keeping koi for many years. I'm 70 now. I wanted to do at least one show before I cockle over.
and Carl saying it needs I think it needs a shake up that way. It keeps it fresh. Also, next year they will double the VAT numbers. Well, yes and no on the VAT numbers. You know, it's all about the support that the BKKS gets, and also the people that volunteer to put it up and take it down, you know, because that's at least 2 weeks there that someone's got to take out of whatever schedule or work life that they've got
Yeah,
just to
they all
dedicate
work
to the
hard
show,
for it, don't they?
you know.
You have
And
to admire them for doing
speaking
it.
speaking to people last year at the show, you know, it takes a week to get it all up and set up properly. It takes almost a week to get it all down and put away and everything else. So there is so much that goes on behind the scenes. And if the BKKS doesn't get any support, then it's not going to be able to
Yeah.
evolve,
Yeah.
get bigger.
And
You
there's a fair old team looking after all our fish while they're there too.
Yeah. And I mean, when you look at it, Tony's just hit 1,000 subscribers. I've got 3,000 subscribers. George has got a couple of hundred. Ty's got 1,000. And I know Ty's in America, but you can see where I'm going with this. If all of those subscribers subscribed to become a member of the BKKS, how much more the BKKS could then think about doing for the members. Can you see what I mean?
Well,
Yeah.
the Scottish Koi Club show this year is in the National Garden Show in Scotland, held at the Royal Highland Show, and over that whole weekend, there's 20 to 30,000 visitors through that whole show, the Garden Show. So this is the club's first time in that show. So it'll be good to see how the new members come into the Scottish Koi Club show. I think we got 5 new members last year, and I was one of them. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes with the footfall.
Right. I'm sorry, but I disagree there. I disagree there purely because when you say other smaller shows, there isn't any real small shows anymore. There used to be, years and years ago, there used to be shows left, right, and centre, but there isn't now.
No.
And I would never, after last year, I would never turn around at someone that said, I want to take my fish to the National. What do you reckon? But if you think they're good enough, you want to do it, you get on and do it, mate.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't dare turn around and say, no, I think you should go and do this show first because it's not as big. I just think that is part of the reason why there is a divide, if that is the attitude. Because
It should be up to the individual which show they want to go to.
I get
Exactly.
it, but the National for me, where I live, is reasonably attainable. Some of the others are just too far away for me. You know, some of the small ones. I think the junior show isn't too bad at the end of the year, but you know,
Yeah, you say the Southeast, otherwise known as the All England Trade Show, when you'll find 3/4 of the fish there are all from members of that club.
yeah,
You know, and to be totally honest, the amount of people that I've spoken to that have been to the All England for the last couple of years has actually turned around and said it's getting stale. Last year, there wasn't half as many vendors as there was the year before. The atmosphere was completely different to the point where I'm not even considering going this year. But yet, the National, over the last 3 or 4 years, has had an evolution each time we've gone, each year.
I get confused. The All England, is that the one in Kent or the one in Newark?
That is the one in Kent. The
In
one in
Kent.
Newark is the Great British Koi Show.
Great British, yeah, okay, yeah. I went to both of them last year, just visited, but yeah, I like the one up in Newark.
Don't get me wrong. I like going to the Great British Koi Show, but I don't want to show at the Great British Koi Show because everyone is different. And me, I like to challenge myself. And that's why I went straight to the National.
Yeah.
Was
Well,
it
I
fluke?
just find its location is convenient
Was it
to me.
fluke? But I don't care. I enjoyed myself. I had a fucking time of my life. I had a weekend I will never ever forget. You know, and for me to turn around and tell someone not to go for it is hypocritical. You know, if you want to beat the best, you've got to show against the best. Just because I'm not showing 80 centimeter Go Sankey doesn't make me any different to the ones that are, or anyone else that wants to show. And that is part of the reason why there is an attitude out there. You know, and this is why I will continue to shout about it.
Mm.
Afternoon, Anthony.
Afternoon.
Nick,
Right, I ain't staying on long because I'm due to go out because it's my daughter's birthday. Right, but I've been
Oh,
listening.
what's your happy birthday?
Happy birthday to your daughter.
So, right, I'm just Vince. Right, this is not my comment. Is not based on anything about separating what people tend to say the big boys against the little boys. All right, it's not what it's about. When you're going as an exhibitor, right, this is where things can really change in the koi scene. All right, if we start, if people that start showing look at the smaller clubs and start supporting the smaller clubs more, then what will happen is two things. There will be more interest across the country with koi shows. Okay, because we all know it's a very difficult thing to put on. All right, it's fairly costly, and without exhibitors, then it detracts away from enticing the footfall to these shows. And like you point out about the southeast, things were a little bit different. In my opinion, on that, it's completely separate, and I'll cover it in a minute. All right. What we did see last year was lots of new exhibitors. All right,
Yes.
not just at the National, but other places. All right, so we will get in the show scene a natural wheel. Right, so people at the top will drop off, and then new people will come in. They'll start to learn their craft. Okay, when I say learn their craft, it's not just about buying a koi and putting it in a vat that some people potentially will think about, because the koi scene is completely different. You look at koi in a completely different fashion. What happened with you last year, Vince, was absolutely mind-blowing for you. And actually, it showed that things can be achieved.
Yeah.
Right? Now,
And that's the point I was trying to get across.
don't get me wrong, and people are going to shoot me with shotguns here. All right, but I'll be perfectly honest. All right, if we look back in the day where there was lots of these koi shows about, the National was for all of the champions or title holders across all of the sections to come together for all of what was then known to compete with each other. All right, so it's times change, and I accept that. However, when we've got new people coming into the koi show scene, all right, they've got no experience in conditioning, selecting, conditioning, growing, transporting, all of the other little bits that go with a koi show. And really, that's where the smaller shows can really help, because actually you will get more success in a smaller koi show. All right, you will be away from what you guys call the pompous, which doesn't exist. It's just that they're in another league, spend a lot more money, a lot of them. All right, but it's not about that either. All right. What it will do, it will give you the best opportunity to be able to start honing your skills a little bit. And then you will start to realise, but when you go to the national then, because you've got the right fish, you condition better, you understand how to transport better, your fish will be in a better condition all round, then you can start competing at all levels across that national. Now, new people coming in, right? Let me say my piece, Vince, because I'm going to be quick, right? Because I'm going to put myself in the firing line for this, all right? But new people coming in, right, naturally will degrade the amount of show fish that come into the scene, right? Because they haven't honed them skills, all right? I'm not saying that they can't compete, but they just haven't got that extra little bit of an edge that make them super wow. All right, and you're going to have a completely different opinion because of your experiences. I'm looking at this from an outsider looking in, not as a dealer. This is an opinion based on the show scene, right? Because as a dealer, show people are the worst people in the world to deal with, right? I would rather deal with people that come in and they like a fish and select it because they like it, rather than ticking boxes and all that malarkey, because it's a pain in the ass, to be perfectly honest, right? And every dealer will say that, right? But when you look at the skill involved with showing, it's small margins that make the big difference. But if you don't know them small margins, then you don't compete. You last year, Vince, was an exception to the rule on that day. Your fish was definitely in the running, one of 5 fish one of 3 that I picked out personally. But an exceptional rule. You can't take anything away from that. All right. Yes, you've got a point where you attract more people in because obviously, Vince, you've always said you're not a show person. All right. However, you attract them people in, that's great. But we also need to support the smaller clubs so we can generate more interest. Now, the junior koi show that's put on by Birmingham, for example, was excellent. And an actual really good journey point for a lot of people, i.e. start of a journey.
Yeah.
Right? You're going up against like-minded people with fish that are, all right, it's not as big, so you've got less competition. But what you actually do is build the experience of what it is that the national is already like. It's like Champions League in koi keeping for a lot of people.
Yeah.
All right. So you've got to respect that. The people that are there, not just the big fish, even down like Baby Champion, there's a huge competition for that, even with the big boys. So, you're up against it from the word go. I'm not saying, right, look, last year, there were two first-time exhibitors in Southeast and the Great British. I think the Great British both took GCs. So it's achievable, but actually, not for everybody. So my point is not based on snobbery. It's based on support. And when you look at the bigger picture, you will gain as an exhibitor a lot more valuable experience from it. And on top of that, you'll get a lot more back in terms of rewardness, because when you go to the national and you don't do anything, right, because you are up against these premium guys and girls, all right, that can actually have a negative effect on people showing. All right. So, you've got to look at the bigger picture. I understand where you're coming from, and I don't think you're wrong because everyone's got an opinion. But actually, when you look at the bigger picture, not everyone should pile into the national. The national will not double their VATs in size if we get loads more people joining, because logistically it just cannot happen. The amount of water that's used, the amount of people that set it up, the water teams, there's only a few people, and that resource will spread too thinly if it gets too big, especially if they haven't got the supporting manpower. And that's the sort of things that people have to remember.
Yeah, that's why I said that it needs support.
Yeah, it does. By all means, it needs support, but so does every other show in the country.
Yeah.
But why do they not have, like, obviously National seems to be the first koi show of the year. So why don't they run after that regional heats all the way through the year? Then the winners of this year go to the national. Would that work?
It's very difficult because we've got a very short section, like short window. For example, the Northeast Koi Show and the Great British Koi Show, they're a week apart from each other, so people can't even cross over on that, right? So it's not only that judge allocation. There's other shows going on in Europe and around the world that the judges have to attend as well. It gets spread too thin. A lot of people look back on the day when there was a lot more interest, a lot more judges, a lot more shows, a lot more exhibitors. It was easier to train and come up through the ranks. Now, judges have to travel quite far afield in order to get their pin badge to say that they're a fully fledged judge and step out of the training judge title.
Yeah. Now, am I right in thinking that the Great British Koi Show hasn't actually got anything to do with the BKKS?
No, you're wrong. The Great British Koi Show is run by the the Yorkshire section of the BKKS. The Southeast is a private run koi show, i.e. the All England.
I thought Ricky Stoddart had a lot to do with the Great British Koi Show and not the BKKS.
A couple of years ago, he put some sponsorship into there, but it was still.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, that was all, mate. Yeah. So, it's not. So every other show, I'm just thinking round in my head. I think Crouch Valley as well. I missed off there. Every other show is an open show, right? So anyone can buy VATs to exhibit other shows. It's not just the national. And actually, for me, for new people into the show scene, if you go to the Junior Koi Show, all right, not only are you got a very good chance of taking a GC from there, because the top end fish is 65 cm. Most of us can achieve that in our ponds, all right?
Yeah.
But actually, it's at the end of a season, right, which is better for your fish. You've had your full growing season, right? You're not interrupting anything for conditioning. Everything, like for me, is bang on the point, either right at the beginning of the season or right at the end of the season, are the 2 points for the best points for koi shows and people that are exhibiting.
The only one thing I can't get my head around, especially with the National Koi Show, is if you actually look at Japan, their koi show is in the winter, so to speak.
Yeah.
And yet we do ours in the middle of fucking summer.
Absolutely.
Why can't we do ours?
Right, let me tell you, all right, because it's a very simple answer to this, Vince, right? If we do a koi show in the winter, number one, British people are the most miserable fuckers on the planet, all right? If it's grey outside and it gets dark early, people don't leave their homes, right? Because let's face it.
I'm not going to argue with that one.
Number one. Number two, you've got to find a suitable venue, all right? Because most koi exhibitors, serious koi exhibitors, will heat their ponds.
Yes.
Right. Then we've got to look at the temperatures at the venue in winter. All right. So what about the water fluctuations in temperature? Can you heat a show vat? All right. There's all these little things that pop up into the rules that stop it. On top of that, Japan is completely separate. We in the UK should never, ever compare what we do on the show scene to Japan, because they're completely separate machines. In Japan, it's all run by the exhibitor, right? So every fish that you put into the All Japan Koi Show or any of the shows over there, every single fish has a fee. All right, so normally between 200 and 600 quid a fish per fish. All right, over here, it is supported by dealerships and dry stands, as well as the people putting in. But the money that, as a dealer, that we put in actually prop up quite a large amount of cost. Everything needs to be involved: exhibitors, dealers, people turning up in order to contribute to the success of a show and also to cover the overheads. All right. In the winter, dealers have not got the stock, right? Because that's when we're doing our new shopping. I certainly wouldn't be taking fish out of my shop in order to go to another. The risk in temperature fluctuations is just so huge. Right? You know, even during what we do in the summer, Vince, if you see how much effort in preparation and then reintegration of the fish that don't sell back into the store, it's mental. Right? So there's so much involved in a winter show, and there's always this big we should show in the winter because that's what Japan do. Absolutely not. It's completely different ball game. On top of that, shows in the UK are for hobbyists. A show in Japan is not. It is for prestigiousness of what the breeders do, which is their big commercial on look at how good we've achieved. Same with the handlers, right? And say a lot of people in Japan that own fish have never seen them in the flesh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because they kept at the dealers, the breeders.
I'll change. You know, this is my own opinion. All right. There's also this thing on, you know, Japanese judges. All right. Look what's just happened over in America. All right. There's a big hoo-ha on who took the GP. Am I right, Ty?
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about this.
So, you know.
What, are they all Japan? The all American?
Yeah, you know. And these are Japanese judges, that have been said that the person that won the GC was flown in privately on private jets, etc., by the person that owns that fish. And the breeder of that said fish was the one that chose that said fish. So there's all them politics that go on, and all these people that think what happens in Japan and what the Japanese are all about. Think again, man. Right? Think again. Right? Actually, we should get behind our judges and what they do. Right? Because without them, you wouldn't even have a shot.
No. But at the same time, becoming a judge is very unattainable at the moment with the amount of shows that are in the UK.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Becoming a judge is a longer journey, but you've got to have the commitment and dedication in order to like start that journey, because it's not just going to be a 1 year thing like it used to be. You've got to forget what it used to be and look at what it is now. Now you're looking 3 years before you get your pin. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a huge amount of time and dedication and effort. But you know, to get there, not only have you got to do all of your own studying, you've got to understand fish, you've got to know all of the small intricate things like shape of gill plates and things like that that the judges here look at, right? That a lot of people that exhibit don't even take into account, you know, the distance from the nose to the eyes, etc., etc. There's huge amount of stuff, right, that gets taken into when judges judge fish. And it's not just about that's a nice looking fish, that pattern's banging. It's by far a huge amount more than that, which is why it takes so long to become a judge.
Sorry,
so that bombshell, I don't mean to.
Susan's literally just said crafty. That's been very interesting to listen to.
Yeah, you know, I'll speak for the benefit of everybody, not a personal opinion in my, you know.
Yeah.
After, did you know start the training?
Can I? No, mate.
No, did you not start it a few years back? I thought you did on your own channel. You were saying something.
No. So that was before I got to work down at Perfect Aquatics, which I don't own. For people that don't know, I don't own it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've heard. Hey, did you know Crafty owns Perfect Aquatics?
Yeah, I don't know where that rumor come from. I've never said I've owned it. I call it my shop, because I work there. You know, I'm not going to say Pete's not because no one knows who Pete is. But no, I was doing a lot of studying to become a judge, but I hadn't taken the exam. So before you even take the exams, you've really, really got to knuckle down to the intricacy. You know, you've got to understand your varieties, the development, what a finished fish looks like, what a good fish is, what a bad fish is, etc. But even down to like 4 types of gin and etc. You know what I mean?
I could remember you saying you had started it, but I didn't know if you'd finished.
I mean, I'm very lucky that Alan Tate's one of my best friends. So, you know, I speak to Alan hugely because I've got a lot of respect for Alan as a person, but the knowledge that he holds is second to nobody. You know, Alan can look at a fish and tell you where it's going. He can look at a fish and tell you which is the best show fish on the day. And, you know, not only that, but as a person, is able to, anyone coming in is able to develop them as a person within the show scene, because they're not allowed to talk about certain things socially. They're not allowed to respond to social media criticism, just simply down to the fact of the position that they hold. You know, because as soon as they start taking a side and it opens up for even more of that, you know, it's the live any show scene is fucking evil because everybody's got a different opinion to somebody else, you know. But they always forget how much work judges do in order to pick their fish. I don't always agree with what the judges see, you know. I'm vocal about that, but I don't publicly flog them because of that. You know, is in that it's like, you know, there's been a few fish that I've gone, I wouldn't have chosen that fish, but I'm not a judge.
No.
And that's the difference, eh?
Well, you know, just to wrap it up, I mean, look at the fish I did win with. You know, when we were bagging the fish up on the Friday, when it come out of the sock and went into the bag, Rick's words were, "Why are you taking that? Why are you fucking taking that?" And I looked at him and I said, "Why not?" And that's from someone who fucking bred it.
Mate, yes, you know, it can be done. But you know, what I'm worried about, Vince, right, is that your success, right, brings people in, but then flattens their expectation. You know, that's the problem. You know, that's the that's the flip side of the coin. When you look at things objectively, right, and that's why I'm very much, as a new hobbyist going into show scenes, you really should learn your craft elsewhere. You're lucky enough, Vince, to have somebody like Rick in the background that can support you. You know, I'm not saying that what he says was the reason for your success, mate, because it wasn't, and I know it wasn't. All right, but ultimately, having that public that rock behind you, right, that gives you that little bit of confidence and whatnot, is completely different. That doesn't have that, you know, and having the ability to give you a little bit of advice that may have changed how you would have prepared fish, etc.
Yeah.
You know, when you haven't got that, you have to listen to people like me waffle on, or you waffle on, or Rick Stoddart waffle on, or Riot, you know, any of us. But then what do you really take away? What do you really understand? You know?
Yeah.
That's, you know, again, I'm very objective, but I'm also very much a fact that people should learn what they do as well. Like I've learned what I do, you progress, you know, and the national, it's not about the pompous or the elite. It's about people that have been doing show things for a long time. You've got like any football team, you've got to be able to put a good team together to climb the league in order to compete at the top, right? And you know that's why smaller sections are a better experience, in my opinion.
Cool. Well, and on that bombshell, I'm going to say, Crafty, you get your ass off to your daughter and wish her happy birthday from everyone. I'd like to say a massive thank you to everyone else that's joined along. Big George, Tony, my man Ty, Crafty. Go on, piss off, go and get home.
Oh, he's gone. I was going to say cricket bats.
Yeah. And I would like to say a massive thank you to everyone joining along. Don't forget, guys and girls, I've been Twisted Koi. You out there, you know you're great, and we will no doubt see you either today or tomorrow with a new video. Have a cracking day, guys.
Absolutely.
See you later.
Nice.